Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And we are here to preview Week 17.
2 more games left. That's it.
Yeah, typically this is the final week of the season, but the NFL graciously gave us one additional Panthers game to watch this year. So this is Week 17, the next to the penultimate game of the Panthers season. Taking on the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. Jerry, how pumped are you for this game?
Pumped for it to be over. Pumped. I mean, especially we're facing Taysom Hill. You know, or maybe facing Taysom Hill. Who knows with everything else going on right now?
Right.
I mean, half our team is on the COVID list, which we'll discuss here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hope Taysom Hill plays halfway decent. Then maybe that's who they'll stick with next year, and they could win this week, and future will be bright.
I mean, that's true. Like the quarterback situation in New Orleans is almost as cluster effed, I guess, as the Panthers situation, because they don't know who's starting next year.
No, I think Winston will be back. I think he got derailed early, and I think they'll give him a rebuttal.
Don't they?
They'll sign him again.
Have to re-sign him, right?
Yes, he's only on a 1-year deal, so I think they'll re-sign him.
They would have.
I don't see anybody else backing up a Brinks truck for him.
Have you met David Tepper?
That's valid point. I mean,
because Jameis Winston is a quarterback.
And was picked in the first round.
Yeah, he's got a pedigree. He's only 27. Actually, he's 27 as of today, I think. Today's his birthday. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Jameis Winston.
Happy birthday, Jameis.
Honestly, I would take Jameis Winston over Sam Darnold, though. You're going to get those mistakes, but you're also going to get a lot of good passes. So.
No, I lied. Jameis Winston's birthday is next week. Sorry. Okay. Happy birthday in 1 week, Jameis Winston.
All right. And speaking of Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold was already named the starter this week. Not surprising. Matt Rule hitched his wagon to him, and hopefully it'll crash and burn in the offseason, and we'll be looking for a new head coach, and we'll have to figure out what to do with Darnold. But we'll see. That's offseason talk.
We'll see. I mean, it's not going to sit well with a lot of Panthers fans, but I think this is the right move to start Sam Darnold. I honestly don't think he's any worse than Cam. He does some things better. He does some things worse, but he probably gives the Panthers the best chance to win. I mean, whatever chance that is, it's probably not that great of a chance, but I do hope that they still have Cam involved.
Yeah,
in
short
some
yardages.
way. Yeah, I don't know if they will. But I do hope that I think Cam could be really effective as, a goal line quarterback. So I do hope that happens.
Well, I mean, Matt Rule has been in love with this 2-quarterback system since Cam's been here. So I wonder if all of a sudden that'll go away.
They're using everyone the wrong way. If you're doing a 2-quarterback situation or 2-quarterback system, and Cam Newton is one of those quarterbacks, then you should use Cam Newton to his strengths, right?
Hey, Steven, we're content creators. We're not head coaches in the NFL. Adjusting in game, that is not something they should do. I mean, this coaching staff obviously knows what they're doing. I mean,
trust the process.
Matt Rule said that it is really developing great in practice. That the fans just aren't seeing it.
I think Jeff Nixon, the offensive coordinator, said something about how Sam is getting better each week. He's getting more and more in tune with the offense and all that. God, we don't see that. We certainly don't see it on game days, and isn't that where you would want this to show up? Who gives a shit what's happening in practice?
In the words of Allen Iverson, we're talking about practice.
Practice? All right. Hey, everybody. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, we would definitely appreciate it. We've seen some nice growth from this channel and this podcast this season, despite the terrible Panthers showing on the field. But we've definitely had, we love the engagement from you guys. So yeah, please like and subscribe, keep it going, and kind of show us that what we're doing is, entertaining and worthwhile. So we appreciate that.
Yep. Are you ready to get into the game? Boom, boom.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So we're talking injuries here, and this is, just as of right now, this is what we're looking at in terms of COVID.
I did this outline. I'll put it this way. I did this outline about 4 hours ago, and I had to come back and add 3 more names that are going on the COVID list since that last updated one.
It is. I would say not only is it possible, but it is almost guaranteed that when you, the listener or viewer, hear this list, see this list, it is completely different than
it's going to grow.
What
a lot of these guys can't get off and can't get off the list for another, what is it, 5 days now or 10 days? I don't.
Depends on if they're vaccinated, if they're not vaccinated. I mean, the rules are ridiculous, but some of these guys could come off. Depends on how long they've been on, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's talk about the guys that have been removed from the list first. All right, so Pat Elflein, our center. That's a big one because I think Tecklenburg is on the list now.
Yep.
And, of course, Paradis is out for the season. So Pat Elflein, our only healthy center. So that good that he's back. And then Rashawn Melvin and Dennis Daly also removed from the list. Will they play? Who knows? But they're available. All right. So the guys that are currently on the list, Brian Burns, Hassan Reddick, Shaq Thompson, Marquise Haynes. Those are. Marquise Haynes maybe not so much, but the first 3 guys, that's the key to our defense, right?
I think Marquise Haynes is a big name, especially with Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick on.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, in terms of production that we've seen so far, those first 3 guys are. That's tough. If we're without all 3 of them, that's tough.
Jeremy Chin, Derek Brown. Those are the 3 big names besides those other 2. I mean, huge.
And then Marquise Haynes, unfortunate for him because this kind of would have been a good opportunity for him if Burns and Reddick are out to really showcase what he can do. Now Morgan Fox and Gross Matos essentially are going to be the edge rushers.
They have to be.
Yeah. Tecklenburg, like we said, is on the list. PJ Walker is on the list. Kenny Robinson, Reggie Bonifant. Poor Reggie Bonifant, man. Another opportunity for him that's probably wasted. Daryl Johnston, Davion Nixon. So, as of 8:42 p.m. on Thursday night, that is the list. That's the list that we have right now. I mean, honestly, there could be other guys on that list. I'm not sure, but that's the list. I know the Saints got they had 20-something people on their list, and they got a whole bunch of them, almost all of them back over the last couple of days.
Yeah, Taysom Hill got back this week. That was the big name that I saw. I mean, I just glanced at it. I didn't write them all down.
It sounds like almost everyone that missed last week will be back in terms of COVID this week for them. So, and last week, they started Ian Book at quarterback. That did not work well for them.
You know what's kind of funny is the Buffalo Bills had a rash of COVID outbreak right after our game, and now look, now halfway through the week we are too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep, that's just the way it happens, unfortunately, right now. But all right, so let's just talk about the normal injury report here. Cam Irving did not practice. Stephon Gilmore did not practice. Sounds like Stephon Gilmore is out.
Yeah.
Kenny Robinson, we mentioned on the COVID list. And then Justin Burris, Jermaine Carter, Sean Chandler, all listed as limited practice, all with groin injuries. And then Stephon Gilmore also with a groin. So 4 groin injuries on this injury report for the Panthers. Let's just...
Cam Irving...
I hope he doesn't play. I don't give a shit if he plays. Yeah, I hope he doesn't play.
Because honestly,
I'd like
I want
to see Christensen again.
Yeah, he played decent last week. I mean,
He played okay. He didn't play any worse than Cam Irving has played.
you're playing a third round rookie at left tackle.
Yeah.
And he's playing better than the mainstay guy. It's not great, but I'd prefer him to grow into the role instead of.
At this point, why would you play Cam Irving, even if he is healthy?
Matt Rule's trying to save his job. I mean,
I
that's the
understand
only
that, but
thing
let's
I
be
can
honest.
think
Like,
of.
I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine that play at left tackle is going to determine whether or not Matt Rule keeps his job from week 17 on. Like, Tepper. If that's where Tepper's making his choice, and he's doing it wrong.
Well,
right?
I think getting blown out the past few weeks by Buffalo, Tampa Bay, I'm hoping that tips the scale because everything that's being reported is that he has his job next year. And I'm hoping I know Panther fans are going to hate me for this, but I kind of hope the Saints blow the doors off us again, and then it really tips the scales to Tepper to make the move.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Matt Rule will be back regardless of what happens these next two games. Like you said, that's what's being reported. Now it's possible if we just embarrass ourselves, and if the players turn or something. I mean, I hope that David Tepper is going to talk to the players, talk to
Shaq.
The captains, and just see what the feeling is in the locker room about Matt Rule. And honestly, if everybody loves Matt Rule and they believe in the process and they think that next year, with some improvements, on those areas that we know need improving, if the locker room feels like they're on the cusp and they want Matt Rule back, then I have no problem bringing Matt Rule back. I mean, they're the guys that are with him every day, right? But again, if that's the thing though. You and I sitting at home on our couches can say one thing, but if those guys that are there every day with him love him and want him back and believe in him, then I have no problem bringing him back.
I get what you're saying. My biggest problem though is the in-game situations, the lack of time management, the lack of adjustments for him is just atrocious, and that's what I really hope. And I also hope Tepper brings in Matt Paradis. He was on multiple teams, even Cam Irving, maybe Shaq Thompson, the guy who was on that 2015 season. Just bring in some veterans and ask them what they're really thinking privately, not with Tepper or anybody else around. Just be like, hey, how do you think this team is going? What could be improved? And ask them directly, hey, what do you think about Rule? I mean, this is second year and we had a huge slide. Do you think it was a bunch of injuries, just some things just didn't go our way, or do you think it's something else more, long-term issues that we may have to move? And I don't think just asking one player, but getting the feel for the team and stuff would be smart.
I agree, and I think, like I said, the captains I think would be a good place to start. Talk to Cam. Cam was with Bill Belichick last year. There's no other coach that you could compare. What does Bill Belichick do differently than what Matt Rule does? Which I'm sure is a lot, because Matt Rule is. You shouldn't even mention him in the same sentence, to be honest. Let's be honest.
No.
So I don't know how do we get on this conversation?
I am sorry. I think I completely veered us to the Fire Matt Rule talk.
Okay.
So any Saints fans watching on YouTube, sorry about that. Shows you where our franchise is currently sitting at compared.
Yeah. We'll talk about this some more in a few minutes, but go check out our "Should Matt Rule Be Fired" video if you want to hear more about that. All right, so let's get to the Saints injury report. Terron Armstead did not practice. Traquan Smith did not practice. Ty Montgomery did not practice. And those are all, none of those are veteran days off or anything. Those are all listed as injuries. Marcus Davenport, Nick Vanette, Mark Ingram, Cam Jordan, and Carl Granderson are all listed as limited practice, and then Taysom Hill on the report, but listed as a full participant in practice. So, Like you mentioned earlier, we should expect Taysom Hill to start this game. I mean, he just came off the COVID list. He's not going to be tested again, and it looks like he's healthy otherwise. So Taysom Hill will start this game. And honestly, well, we'll get into the matchups here in a second. Panthers are 6.5-point underdogs. That line has not moved since Matt Rule said Sam Darnold was the starter. It's been pretty much 6.5 or 7, depending on where you look, the whole week. So Vegas did not seem to think that there's much of a difference between Cam and Sam when it comes to the
I think it was also already mailed in from last week when he was like, Sam Darnold's going to play a lot. Yeah, and then he did play a lot. Probably, it was written on the wall. I mean.
Now, the over-under for this game is 37.5. Have we had one that low? Have we had one that low yet? Mm-mm. I mean, the Panthers aren't scoring any points.
No.
So, I don't know that I'd bet the over on that in any. I
was gonna say scenario. I would take the under if I really wanted to bet on this game. Well, yeah, but I do not want to bet on this game at all. I mean, this game is gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't. Yeah, like full transparency here. Normally, Jerry and I, or typically Jerry, will go in and choose 4 or 5 matchups for each game, and then we'll kind of talk about them. We don't have any matchups listed here for several reasons, and I think maybe the main one is we don't 100% know who's playing in this game.
I mean, literally, half our starting defense is on the COVID list right now.
I guess the matchup to watch is players versus COVID. I mean, because there's really, we don't know who on the defense is playing, and if everyone that's on that list right now is out, I don't know that it matters what we can do on defense, because there's not gonna be a lot of folks out there that's gonna be able to stop some of these Saints players.
Yeah, I mean, Alvin Kamara, I'm not terrified of Taysom Hill. I think he can run the ball and he can dump it off decently. I'm not afraid of him. But Alvin Kamara, when you're talking about Hassan Reddick, Brian Byrne, Shaq Thompson out, I mean, you're asking a lot from Etor, Frankie Louvu. I mean, those guys are the ones who are going to be stepping up and trying to make plays. Yeah. That's a lot to ask for anybody, and then to put Kamara. That would be my key matchup is whoever's out there on the Panthers defense, can you stop Kamara?
Yeah, I think Kamara, and then just the running aspect of Taysom Hill. Honestly, the entire Saints team, they're a pretty good running team. But with Taysom in there, that gives them that same mismatch that we saw from Cam all those years. And Taysom runs the ball a lot. I mean, he just a few weeks ago, he ran for over 100 yards against Dallas. And then the next week he ran for 75 yards. So, I mean, he's, he can run a lot. And when he does run a lot, occasionally he's productive. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns this year. So, only 2 passing touchdowns. I think he started 3 games as the quarterback. Only two passing touchdowns and 5 total interceptions for him this year. So 4 of those came in one game, again against Dallas. So Taysom Hill not good in terms of throwing the ball, but he's not really on the team because of how good he can throw the ball.
I'll put it this way: Carolina is horrible at passing the ball. We know this as Panther fans. New Orleans is worse. They average 187 yards compared to Carolina's 196. I mean, they're 29th and 31st. It's not like, we're night and day better, but we are slightly better, as scary as that is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, these two teams are pretty similar in a lot of statistical categories, especially on offense. Total yards per game, we're 28th and 31st. Rushing yards per game, we're 19th, they're 15th. Like you said, passing yards, 29th, 31st. Third down efficiency, 27th and 30th. Like, not a lot going on here in terms of the offense. The defense is where the Panthers are a little more ahead in most categories, although the Saints have a very good defense, and recently their defense has been very good.
Yeah. They shut out Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago. I mean, let's not forget that.
Yeah, they have. They've come on quite a bit. The last 3 weeks, they've given up 9 points, 0 points, and then 20 last week to the Dolphins. But you almost have to throw that game out because of how many people they had out for COVID. Plus, the Dolphins are good. I mean, the Dolphins have won like 8 in a row
they're
or
catching
something.
fire at the right time.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Panthers are statistically a better defensive team. Like I said, in most categories, but there are some categories that the Saints are better in too. So I kind of think that's pretty close, honestly.
I would say normally, that it would be a very not fun to watch, but a very defensive-minded game. But with the
one of those
Panthers
slobber
defense,
knockers.
but the Panthers defense not really being out there. I mean, it's going to be.
That's true.
Can this Carolina offense score? I mean, this Carolina offense is going to have to put the team on the shoulder with the defense where they're sitting at. I mean, we're going to hear a lot of gripes about a lot of points probably being put on the Panthers with Taysom Hill at quarterback. But what can you do with this defense where you're playing honestly, a majority of second and third stringers?
Yeah, honestly, if those guys that we mentioned earlier are not relieved from the list by then, and it's going to take a lot for them to actually play, and there could be more people added, and there probably will be more people added before Sunday. That's going to be really tough, and especially with the Saints kind of having everybody coming back. They had their big outbreak last week, and now they've got most of their guys coming back. It doesn't bode well for the Panthers. That being said, this time of the year, with the situation that the Panthers are in right now, for the future, it makes more sense, or it's not a bad thing for the Panthers to lose this game.
No, not at all. And like I said, I'm still on the fire Matt rule, and I'm hoping that maybe something like another loss can tip the thing going 2 in whatever the ending, I forget. I can't do math, like 12 or so.
Well, they started out 3-0. So if they lose 12 games, then they would be 2-12 after that. So or 2 was it? Yeah, because there's 17 games, so they would be 2-12 over their last 14. And that's honestly to me, if you're looking at last season, then you're looking at this season. And again, both had their challenges. Last year he came in cold. No preseason, no training camp, nothing. And honestly felt sort of like the team maybe overperformed a little last year. Based on the talent, based on the new coach, everything. This year it definitely feels like they have underperformed.
Yeah.
By a lot. So if they do finish out 2-12, if I'm Tepper, I'm firing Matt Rule. I don't know that Tepper will fire Matt Rule.
We will see.
He certainly would have cause to do so.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but like you said, I think honestly those are the two key matchups, right? Or the two keys to the game, right?
Yeah.
Can the Panthers score, and will the Panthers have enough of a defense to hold New Orleans to, honestly, 17 points, I think, is about the most New Orleans could score for me to feel like the Panthers could win the game?
Yeah. Yeah, 17. I mean, that's even stretching it, to be honest with you, in my opinion. I mean,
I think the Panthers could score 20. That, I think, is the maximum amount of points that they could score in this game. Because, honestly, if you're taking Cam Newton away, the Panthers' running game has shown nothing since McCaffrey left, outside of Cam. All right? Maybe this is good for Chuba.
I don't believe that, because they're not going to run Chuba. Because they don't. They give him 5 to 10 touches tops. I mean, it's the same thing we've talked about with the past 4 or 5 weeks. We want to see Chuba. We want to get him going. Here's sparingly his couple runs.
But Cam has been out there a lot those last 4 or 5 weeks. Cam's been out there most of the snaps. And Cam is taking up 10 to 12 running attempts per game. So if you take that and you maybe give 7 of them to Chuba and 3 of them to Amir Abdullah, then maybe you've got 17 rushes for Chuba.
I would love it. I want to see what he has. I know he's had some issues. He's, first of all, standing upright. He does seem to fall a lot. Holding onto the ball and stuff, but we need to see what he has. Yeah. I mean,
that's what I want to see. A lot of Chuba the next 2 games. That's the most what I want to see.
He's shown glimpses. I want to see a lot of Tommy Trimble, you know, their player. I want to see a lot of Brady Christensen at the left tackle spot. I mean, this will be a good game for them. They have a good pass rush there with Cameron Jordan and Davenport if he plays. I would like to see him go up against those guys and either hold his own or us know what we have in him.
Yeah, agreed. How do you feel? Do you think it was the right move to bench Cam and start Sam?
I think it's the smartest move for Matt Rule. I also think it's a smart move for this franchise going forward. Mm-hmm. Because I saw Cam. That was not a starting caliber NFL quarterback out there anymore, in my opinion. Yeah. He just doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't have the zip that he used to have on the ball. It pains me to watch it, but he just doesn't. That being said, I think you have to see what Sam Darnold has, even though before he got injured, we were calling for P.J. Walker to start because he was playing that atrocious. I think that injury may have happened at a perfect time. And I'll say that with a little bit of skepticism that they may have wanted to bench him on purpose. This is a clear way to do it. You get him mind straight again, which
we said it at the time.
Yeah, he was a bad quarterback at college, bad quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. I don't think he's ever going to be able to keep his head straight. Like he gets in his own head. And you could tell by the passes he throws.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we said it at the time when he got injured that I certainly didn't feel like the injury was enough to go on IR. Was enough to basically be sat. Because he played. Mm-hmm. He played the week after he got the injury.
Yep.
Now, certainly didn't think at the time that it was realistic that Cam would be coming back. You know, we were thinking exactly what happened before Cam came back, is they would sign someone like Matt Barkley off the street as backup for P.J. Walker. They did that, and then they went out and they also signed Cam. So how do we feel about the Cam experiment? I mean, success or failure? For the franchise. Let's start for the franchise.
Franchise, it was still a failure. I mean, you wanted to win. We still had a chance to make the playoffs. He was in our opinion, he was the best available quarterback that's walking around.
I still believe that was true.
And he just didn't have enough to pull this team up. And I think with a better supporting cast, a better coaching staff, he could have done more, but
yeah, I agree. I mean, tough ask for him to come in cold, not knowing the playbook, not knowing the players mostly, to come in and even play as well as he did at times.
Get thrown under the bus, left every time. So
which is something that neither one of us like about what Matt Rule does. And I've seen some other people push back a little bit on that from what we said about not liking how Matt Rule treats some of his players in the post-game press conferences where he calls them out. And I think there's a difference between holding someone accountable and throwing someone under the bus. And I think Matt Rule does a lot more of throwing under the bus than he does holding accountable.
Agreed. I have no problem saying, hey, I got to look at the tape. And not even get back to the media. But when they go into the film room they pull people aside, be like, especially in position groups, hey, look at this. What the heck are you doing, man? I mean, you completely blew your coverage. Think. Or, Cam, why did you throw that? You had the up the middle run. That was a horrible read. In private, you could talk to them like that, and they're going to understand.
You should.
They're going to understand.
That's called being a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't say, Cam screwed up to the media, like right after, and then 2 days later say, oh, no, he didn't screw up. I watched the tape, and he read it right. No,
exactly.
You don't just go... just don't throw haymakers towards players like that.
Yeah, especially a guy that you're bringing in, halfway through the season, that you're asking this much of, that is obviously out there putting his body on the line, and you've talked about his work ethic and how hard he's always in the facility, and he's being a great leader, and then you're still gonna throw him under the bus for one or two plays that sure were pretty noticeable plays, but no, take some responsibility yourself.
Yeah.
And Matt Rule, he will do that from time to time, but it almost feels like he's doing it as an afterthought, or he's doing it after he calls out the rest of his team. Then he'll be like, but that's also on us as coaches.
I mean, he needs to take
of course it is.
Take some responsibility for putting this team together with no offensive line. With knowing going into the offseason that it was a bad offensive line, and you picked those guys, or I feel like he picked them. I don't think Fitterer just signed him willy-nilly.
Jerry, they made their priority to sign 2 major offensive line talents the first day of free agency. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's why
very
I'm saying,
versatile guys that can play multiple positions.
That's why Matt Rule, I feel like he had to have a big statement on those guys, and obviously as their PFF grades and pass blocking win percentages are in the bottom of starters in the league, they weren't good. They weren't good moves.
And not only that, but the other teams that those guys came from
laughed at us.
We're very happy to see them go.
Laughed at us.
Sort of like how we felt about Mike Remmers, right?
Yes.
And we haha, Mike Remmers, good luck. And he's sucked as well for the Chiefs. But
they moved him to guard, and he did decently at guard. But
but anytime he's had to play tackle, he is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and noticeably bad. But anyway, I don't know how we got on that conversation either. But suffice to say, I mean, I'm not going to be rooting against the Panthers in this game, but I think I'd feel worse if they won than I would if they lost.
I did too, because right now we're sitting at, I think, draft pick number 6.
6, I believe.
And I think that's pretty much where we're going to be drafting.
I think we could move up to 5th.
If Seattle...
I think there's the Giants are in there. The Giants have beaten us.
Yeah, the Giants could... We could jump ahead of Giants and Seattle if they both win. That's what we need. We need Seattle and the Giants to win.
Yeah, so I mean, it's it's possible that we can move up to 5th. I think that's as far as we can go. But this is the type of game that the Panthers win, though. Year in and year out, this is the game they win. That stupid game against the Saints.
It's always against the Saints, doesn't it?
It's always against the Saints. and a lot of times I feel like it's Sean Payton just doing it completely on purpose. But this time they have something to play for this time, the Saints do.
If they win out, they have a real shot at making the playoffs. So I do expect them to play like there's playoff chances. So
yeah, they're 10th right now. But they're only one game out of 6th and 7th.
Yeah.
So it's all it takes is Philadelphia or San Francisco to falter a little bit, and the Saints have just as good a chance as Atlanta and Minnesota.
Yeah, and they play Atlanta. So last week. So
Yep.
If they beat us, they go to Atlanta, beat them. I mean, they are sitting in a decent shot at getting in.
Yeah, that would put them 9-8. I do think one 9-8 team will make the playoffs in the NFC. It just depends on who it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean it's this. But like I said, this is the type of game the Panthers typically win when all of the fan base has basically resigned ourselves to, okay, we're gonna end up with a good draft pick at least, and then we end up picking 8th or 9th, and it happens every single time. So I will probably pick the Panthers to win this game. And I'll be okay if they lose this game. So, any other thoughts, Jerry, just about the game in general, or any certain matchup you're looking forward to seeing?
I kind of want to see these backup defensive players kind of step up. One in particular, Yetur Gross-Matos. I'll say his name again later on in bold predictions. He's really coming on strong lately, and I want to see him continue on that, especially with he being the pass rusher, the main pass rusher now. I mean, I want to see him go out there and, hopefully make some noise.
Yeah.
Frankie Louvu too. I'd like to see him get some more action.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Frankie. You and I big fans of Frankie Louvu, so I will be excited to see if he does get the start, especially how he handles that. And I'm excited to watch him. I think he's a good player. All right. Let's do... I don't think we have a beer bet here. So you want to go on to bold predictions. And it sounds like you were teasing one.
What? Well, beer bet, real quick. Do you have any thoughts on Taysom Hill throwing the ball? No. Okay. I was going to do...
I don't feel strongly that he's going to do well.
I was going to set the over of like 125 yards over under.
No, I think I would have no strong feeling either way on that.
Okay.
Honestly.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't like Taysom Hill. I would probably take the under on that if I was going to take, if you feel strong about the over.
No. Even with CJ Henderson and Sean Melvin probably starting.
I just don't think they're going to have to throw the ball. That's one thing. Is the Panthers have the second overall pass defense in the league. A lot of that is situational, that teams are not having to throw in the fourth quarter against the Panthers at all.
The second half of the season, teams realized they could just run down their throats and keep doing it.
I mean, if we were winning, it would be one thing, but we're not putting up enough points ourselves to make anybody throw. No. So I think that is an aberration, unfortunately, that second-ranked pass defense. Not that I don't think they have some good players back there in the secondary. They do. But I think if teams were having to play, it might be a fringe top 10 pass defense, but it wouldn't be second.
Yeah. All right, so bold predictions. My bold predictions, Yetur Gross-Matos continues his terror, gets 3 sacks, and 2 tackles for losses included.
Nice. So, that's a good prediction. I'm going to go with Chuba. I think if you're going to give Chuba 20 carries, it's going to be in this game.
It should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's a game that you should be able to run the ball a lot. If not for a lot of yards, you should be able to run the ball a lot of carries. Mm-hmm. So I think Chuba will end up with 20 carries. I think he will score 1 touchdown. And I'll say that he'll have over 100 yards. I don't feel strongly about that. But you know what? I'm going to say like 20 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. Something like that. Just a workman-like performance. All right. Game predictions. So like I said earlier, this is the type of game I think the Panthers historically win. It certainly is the type of game I can see myself being upset that they won. Come Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to pick that the Panthers do win this game in a very low-scoring game, 14-13. Chuba Hubbard runs in a last-second touchdown to win.
I am going Saints 23-9. And I might be giving Sam Darnold too much credit getting the 9 points on this team, but I'm hoping, like you said, that they run the ball. They run the ball.
Yeah.
They run the ball.
That's what they should do, honestly. Run the ball and give the play action game a chance to work. Mm-hmm. Give those pass rushers have to have some tiny thought in the back of their head that this could be a run, and they've been successful running the ball today. Otherwise, Sam's just going to get killed back there again, and there's nothing. So
and the Saints have a good run defense. I mean, they do have a good run defense.
It is, yeah, sure.
But you still have
a terrible pass offense. You have to try to establish the run. You have to.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to feel 30 seconds of pure elation when the Panthers win this game on this last second Chuba rushing touchdown. And then I'm going to feel really sad and really upset about it. So for the culture, though, whatever. For the culture. All right. Other NFC South games here. Atlanta is visiting Carolina North.
Yeah. Are Carolina better now, I guess?
Yeah. The Carolina we wish we were.
Yeah. At Buffalo. Yeah, sorry, Atlanta. You're going to take a beating.
Taking Buffalo in that one.
Yeah. And then we have another barn burner, Tampa Bay Bucks at New York Jets. Yeah.
Sorry, Jets.
So both the NFC South teams are traveling to New York. I have a feeling both are going to be beatdowns. One by the New York team and one by the Tampa Bay team.
Yes. I always forget that Buffalo's in New York for some reason. I never think of them as a New York team, I just don't. I think of the Giants and the Jets. I don't think of Buffalo as a New York team. They are, obviously, geographically.
Do you think they're just at the North Pole because it's just so cold? Or
I don't know. I know they played half their games in Toronto a few years back, and they just feel like a team from that direction, but not necessarily a state. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, Buffalo I know is in New York.
But just call it Buffalo Island and
yeah.
Set up a moat around it.
All right. Any other thoughts before we sign off here?
No. I'm anxious, honestly, to get to the off season and kind of know where we're sitting at, know what's going on in the future, and then that way I can kind of sink my teeth into more draft prep and stuff like that. I mean, it's sad that I'm already looking forward to draft prep, but it is what it is.
We've had some people ask our thoughts on certain players, and even asking for a mock draft here and there. So we'll kind of dive into that when the season's over. But we're both looking at it.
Yeah, I watched Sam Howell today, and I wasn't impressed.
Who?
So Sam Howell today for North Carolina quarterback.
I have not been impressed with Sam Howell. Yeah.
Kenny Pickett looks a lot better in the few games I watched. I haven't really watched that much yet, but
yeah, and he's unfortunately not playing in his bowl game tonight. He's opted out of that game. Yeah, so I was kind of looking forward to seeing him, but that's all right. I haven't watched a ton of college this year.
Yeah,
just because it's hard enough to carve out 4 hours on a Sunday with 2 kids 5 and under. So I'm definitely not doing it for teams I really don't care about on Saturday as much as I'd like to watch college football. Just don't have the time. But we'll do some research, and I don't know if we'll do the same thing we did last year where
I think we are. I like that idea. The draft profiles.
10 or 12 draft profiles, yeah.
Maybe a little bit more this year since we both feel that they could be dropping back.
And we struck out on all 12 of the ones we did last year.
Yep.
Look, J.C. Horn moved up he moved up the draft board very late.
Yeah, Micah Parsons was the player I was the most impressed with, and he's
looks like
he's gonna be the defensive MVP. Yeah,
the defensive rookie of the year. Yeah. I really wanted him. Him or Slater would have been the home run pick at that spot.
I wanted Fields. I still think Fields with a good coach. Which, that's saying something the way I have my background right now. But with a good coach, I think he can be a really good player, really special player.
Yeah, I agree. Fields, I think probably if I go back and redraft that, then I think I take Fields But honestly, if it was Parsons or Slater, I think we're just as happy, if not happier.
Yeah. J.C. Horn was looking really good too. It's just quarterback.
It just wasn't. It wasn't a position of
desperation.
Drastic need. You know, like left tackle was. It's almost a fireable offense not to take Slater there. It almost is.
Well, you got to think too, quarterback. I guess Sam Darnold.
But they believed in Sam at that time. You know.
And I wasn't big on Slater either, but.
Well, obviously, yeah, he was second. Obviously the second one, Penei Sewell, was the one we wanted.
Looking back, yeah, Rashawn Slater should have been the pick. Not even that much of a question.
That's what I'm saying. If we went back today, knowing what we know now, I still think Fields is the pick, but I'm happy with the other two. Thrilled with the other two as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can you imagine Micah Parsons on this defense, like loaded up?
If everyone redrafted, Micah Parsons is probably the number one pick in the draft.
No, Trevor Lawrence
if you take the quarterback,
would still get, but
yeah, I guess. Well, I think, maybe Trevor Lawrence goes one, but I think Parsons goes two.
To the Jets?
Maybe. It's the Jets. Damn it. You know what? Take quarterbacks out of the equation. Micah Parsons is the number one non-quarterback taken. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that, though. And Jamar Chase, I mean.
Jamar Chase is probably the second one, and then maybe Slater goes ahead of Sewell. I mean, it's, I think
that's the Lions' best
in
Sewell up, though. Throwing him at right tackle, since he's always been a left tackle and has been a stud there. What are you doing, Lions? They did not set him
up for success. Yeah.
What are you doing, man? It's like drafting a left tackle in the third round and forcing him to play right tackle, right guard, left guard, center, cornerback, tight end, whatever other position they have him practicing at. Instead of at least letting him play at left tackle. Sorry, going on rants.
No, that's fine. We should think about doing like a redraft or something, or I don't know. We'll have to figure something out. I want to take a look back at this draft class.
Who would we take over J.C. Horn in the first?
Yeah, I think that's going to be part of it. But yeah, I want to kind of just look back at the draft class and what did we hit on? What did we miss on? What are we still out on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. In the offseason.
Yeah. We want to go ahead and thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on the show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube.
Shout out to Club 37. You guys are awesome. We'll be back on Sunday afternoon to recap this game. And until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.
Club.